All right. Oh, I have my window closed. See, I'm so used to it. I had to make sure my phone's off.
Huh. That's crazy.
All right.
We really don't have too many spots in
All right. It's official.
It is 7 o'clock on Monday.
Yep, it is 7 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Item 3 is to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
Aaron made the motion and Erica seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Item 4 is the board's common message. The Owens School Board strives to provide an environment in which students can be happy, healthy, and awesome in their educational pursuits. We believe that each student can graduate ready for college and or a career. To do so, we will provide a safe, nurturing, and engaging learning environment that meets individual wellness, social, and emotional needs. Item 5 is any district resident who'd like to speak to any item on the agenda. 6, presentation. Mrs. Jacobs, you're on.
I'm over here.
I was like, where
So-
are you?
We have some students here as well as Coach Leif and Coach Vanderloop here to talk about our lifting program. We utilize Volt Athletics as our platform for that. So we have Andrew Kitchen, Maddox Pattison, Brandon Tenier, and Emma Smock here to talk about that. So try to get a wide range of people. Maisie Westendorf was going to come as well, but she unfortunately went home sick today. So if you see her, wish her well. So I'll turn it over to those guys, and as soon as they're done, I want to remind them that they can go. They have some open gyms and batting practice and all that to get to, so we appreciate them being here.
Okay, so this started this started 6 years ago. It was my first year at the district, and myself and the former PE teacher, and there was about 6 of us sat down, and we just had a comprehensive conversation, like, where's our strength and conditioning program at, what's going on. We just evaluated everything. And we did some research, we set up some programs, we demoed them. Bolt was one of them, Team Builder was another one. And then there was one other ones, and we just took the demo, looked at the stuff, and then we chose Volt because we thought it fit best what we were looking for and wanted, and the stuff that provided us to provide the kids and take the next step forward to see where we were going to go. So that's just a little basic start of where we're going. Next slide, please. Okay, why it matters. Okay, you can see there. I'm not going to read through everything. Improve performance, reduce injury rehab, tolerate more physical stress, and win. Okay, it talks about here. Just a little quote. We go to the next slide. This right here is Boyd Epley, okay? This relates back to the early 70s or 80s, okay? He was I would say he is the godfather of strength conditioning when he started. Very first collegiate paid strength conditioning coach at the University of Nebraska, okay? He is the overseer of Volt, all right? With 3 or 4 other gentlemen that are in charge of this online training program that we use for this is our 6th year using in the district. So you can see single most important individual history of strength conditioning, certified strength coach. Obviously, you can have go and get your certification and a couple different things. So it's not just a program where it's some random people making up. It's coming from the founder, I would say, of the strength conditioning across America, related back to that. And everybody knows, watching Nebraska football back in the 80s, 90s, they absolutely rolled people and won with Tom Osborne and some national championships that put some hard work back in Lincoln. So it's a legit gentleman.
Don't worry, people from Nebraska haven't forgotten that either.
But to add in, part of the reason why they hired him was because he was training athletes in a different approach. He was using more speed and power instead of the traditional ways that they were lifting. He added things in to make them more athletic. And to go along with that, the things that we're doing with our speed stuff goes hand in hand with what we're doing with Volt, because everything we're training is for speed and agility and athleticism.
So it talks about here,
Sorry.
Injury mitigation, so we've had some kids, we've had broken arm, leg, okay? And right in the app, there's a thing that you can replace the lift with, and it gives you stuff to replace it with, so people can still get, their exercise in for that day. There you go, built by expertise in the field. Okay? Now, also there's, so like with our 0 hour class, we have, we use 2 different programs. We have a male all around and a female all around, and the female specifically hits to those points because it relates to the different sports and positions and activities they're in. So it's not just a one size fits all approach. It's kind of individualized as a group, what fits their needs and stuff. And we do multi-athlete or multi-sport because everybody in the school is usually out at least for 1 or 2 things. It's not sport specific, so we want to make an athlete, not a football player, basketball player, volleyball. It's a wide approach, hitting everything, not being sport specific. Okay, so when the kids log in, they use their phones. All right, yes, they use their phones. We have standards. It's not a big deal. Once in a while, somebody likes to take some nice flex picture and send it on Snapchat. It happens, kid. But so this right here is a wellness check-in. Okay, you can rate yourself from 1 to 5. That'll give you data. As you see throughout the workout, you'll see this here. You have the reps and sets. It has the replace button. It gives you the info. You can tap on the exercise 2. It puts a person in motion. When we demoed the other programs, Team Builder and them, they didn't have that. It took you to YouTube video and awesome. This is one size, boom. It's right there in front of you. It's easy accessible. Okay. Right here, we just talked about this. They have a new V3, it's called AI, Artificial Intelligence. We just talked about this at our PD last week. The kid is getting instant feedback after every set, all right? So you rate it yourself, the kid rates it. We don't rate it at all. How do you rate it? If you don't like it, go back, rate it again. There's no number of times you can or can't rate it, okay? And it calibrates it, and at the end, you can see here, it's gonna give you an overall summary. You can talk about the workout breakdown, completion, tonnage. It tells you, all-time workouts and stuff. Gives you a lot of data and information. We can go on the computer, Mr. Lake and I. We use it for, probably 175, 200 kids. Roughly. Yeah, we can see all that stuff. And it shows all kinds of data. ISAP, map testing, use that data. This is the same stuff. Data driven. Next one, please. Okay, so this is straight from some data from it started in December 2017. We were just getting implemented. Really didn't do a lot with it for the first year and a half. It took for a while. Like, where do we want to go? Where do we want to go with it? Is this the approach? Do we want to do the team individualized? We want to make it as a group. So we started implementing it. Mr. Lake came, got going pretty good, but COVID hit. Wiped it all back, so we had to start back over. So you can see this is girls' data just from the 0 hour kids from December of 20 to March 23rd. That's the most recent date. You see the bottom number here, how many pounds have increased with each lift. Those are the 3 main lifts we test. Don't test a lot, maybe twice a year. Not a big, obviously you have those data driven. Kids want to see numbers. We're in a now society. They want to see where am I at now. They like to see the numbers. What am I doing? You can see the increase right over here. So there's 21 girls in the class, 10 out of 21 bench over 100 pounds, 17 out of 21 bench are clean over 100 pounds, and then 17 out of 21 squat over 135 pounds. Emma Smock, she's in her 4 years, she has 391 workouts as of this morning. Okay, pretty cool. We can track all that. Accessibility. Macy, she's obviously freshman, just getting into it. Sure, but we have a middle school lifting program 2 days a week. I don't know if she missed more than two workouts her whole middle school. Her whole middle school career. Jalen, she's not here, 195. Okay, anything like you would add since we're talking about your data and about the program?
I definitely think if you're committed, then you will see results. Like, if you buy into it, you're gonna see results. And if, obviously every now and then there's some people that come and they're just there for the grade, but it's more of sign up for the class, if you wanna see results and get better in your sports all around, I guess.
Okay, you've seen results. I know Candace Jacob, he was 4 years in it. I think he made a lot of improvements and it helped him, currently plays basketball. There you can see, if you're committed and dedicated, doesn't matter what you do, we have the results. It's getting more people to buy in. Are you gonna drink from the water hose or the fire hose? Where are we at and how are we gonna do this? That's what it's down to. Okay, next slide got the boys' data. Okay, there we go. You can see from the 20th, the years, obviously we went down a little bit. there were some older kids that decided not to take the class, and just take the easy way out, and they didn't wanna do anything, so that did affect us, but we came back up quite a bit, done well. There's our bench, so we have 23 boys in it. 185, or 8 of them 185, 13 185 clean, and 15 over 225 squats. Right there in the plat, that's Andrew Kitchen. He's got his 206th workout. Brandon did 197. Carter Jean's not here, but he's a senior, been in the class 4 years. There's 434 workouts they put in. So you get what you put in is what you get out. Anything that you three want to add to this? This is time to speak up.
Well, I would say just from when I started, like middle school, we used Volt too. I've seen like drastic changes in like all my numbers, squat, clean, and bench. Like every single max out it ends up going like up dramatically.
Yeah, and I'd say my freshman year, I think anybody would have known. I really wasn't the big kid, fast or anything like that. And this year, I kind of just outperformed, like way better than I did last year. So I'd say it definitely helped being there every day.
I guess I'd say I've gone up a lot of weight in just 1 year. Got a lot faster and a lot stronger compared to what I used to be at the beginning of freshman year.
What do you got next? You got one more? Okay, so would you click on this link, please? I'm going to show you a few last things and then I'm done. Nope. Well, we can talk about that if you want.
This is what you wanted to do?
No, is that the top link?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We can hit that bottom one too, though.
But this right here, so this is where you go. If you click on groups, okay, it is used by, so you can use personal fitness for it. We can use it as a class. You see military, firefighters, police study, corporate wellness. All right, there's a couple case studies in there about firefighters and police. I've never read them, but I was looking at it. There's a couple of case studies in there how that works out and that. If you scroll down, it'll talk about like this is the coach's side. You'll see, okay, these workouts come pre-made. Obviously, there's different types of phases that you do. You know, equipment-wise, we have to adjust a little bit because we don't have equipment for some stuff. That's just the way it is. It's adapting. It's anything. Just think it's no different where you work or from. There's your AI, so artificial intelligence, using the algorithm after every set. It's top-tier technology. There's who uses it. You got Philadelphia Eagles use it, Clemson. Well, I think Michigan. I don't know. At the bottom, there's 4 or 5 different colleges and universities and stuff that use it together. We're in different sports. Kind of, and they're based out of Seattle, Washington. Actually, it's kind of a unique business. In terms of the business side, they only have a 4-day work week out of there, so they use that. It's something different in how they go about doing that. So you want to go to the other? That's right there. This right here. This is the other piece. Okay, speed is just important as the lifting part of it. So this is data how we track that. We use a program called Feeds the Cats, max velocity sprinting. So a lot of sprinting and jumping. We have a timing system. Kids wear chips. They'll run through 3 times. And that'll show, takes their time. And we plug these numbers in. Okay, standard deviation. So that's going to give you, out of the class average, are you above that or below that? It ranks you. So your best flying 20, your best mile an hour, your current mile an hour, that's what that is. Then it ranks in your average for the class, gives you a graph. And this truck stick is a formula where you put your weight in, okay? And it's for the bigger kids because if you run a certain mile an hour, we have wristbands, you get 17, 18, 19, 20. When you run that mile, you get a wristband, okay? So, and for if this was made for trucks, it was made for like people that are a little heavier and linemen that have a hard time reaching that. So this is like when they bring their momentum to hit something, the amount of momentum you create when you hit something. So the higher the number here, the better you is, the more momentum. So we've seen, done some research where they got this from those people, when you get up to 900,000 to 900 to 1,000, that's pretty good. And then it's all the averages out. So you have an average there, you have an average of the 3 like each run. Kids sent out to the kids on Remind. They can look at it. They're ranked, they're put in the hallways of the school so they can see this every day they walk by it to see, hey, we're the top 10, the 20 or 10, wherever you're at. So you have a tab for the boys and girls. Mr. Lake and I just went over to Wartburg last week, and we looked at stuff. We did a whole day of PE. Where are we at? How are we doing? What do we need to do? Like, basically that we sat down for 2.5 hours in conference room and said, hey, are we doing the right stuff? What can we adjust? What can we make it better to do? And the guy that helps them do this stuff took that spreadsheet and said, what do you want? I said, how can we do this and that? And we sat down and we learned a lot of stuff. Take videos and stuff, bounce and stuff back and forth. So, I don't know, that's all I have. Do you guys have anything else to add? Coach Lake?
Well, the speed part of it is, it doesn't matter what sport. There's studies that the guy that put this out, his name's Tony Holler, and he even talks about golfers that go through this program, knock 6, 7 strokes off their game because they're developing those fast twitch fibers to swing the golf club harder. Everything. So, that's what we're kind of doing here with all this. And, part of his is record everything, rank them, and publish it so everybody knows. It's instant feedback. Those kids know exactly how fast. And, when they go through, what was my time? What was my time? What's my speed? They ask it every day. And I started doing this with my 5th hour class because it's a little bit longer. And they're kind of buying in. And there's this regular, and I don't want to say regular students, there's non-athletes in there. But they're starting to feel this a little bit and want to, well, how fast am I going today? I saw you hit 17 miles an hour. So, it's the instant feedback, and the more feedback we can give them on all this stuff, keeping this data, the more interest we'll get. And we just, it's a good stuff that we're doing there with that Feed the Cats. It's a whole program. And Coach Gaylor does it in track. So between Coach Gaylor and myself and Mr. Vanderloop, the 3 of us are kind of heading that, and we're on year 3 of that.
How many of your active athletes are participating?
In 0 hour?
There's 44 in the class this semester. It'd be beautiful if it was like 64, 74.
There's 44, and out of the 44,
all but 12 this semester or something in the spring.
I can tell you there's 10 softball players and there's 18 football players. Now there's a few others that do just track or whatever, but that number needs to be more like 70.
It's not like we don't have 2 facilities to do that either. We have a church right up there that
And
we can do
and
it.
it's nice that we co-teach it. So one of us could be in the weight room doing like we started, one doing this, but we've all kind of gone together. It doesn't take us 10 minutes to run three of those sprints. Rolling out mats, rolling back up and getting back in and doing other speed, agility things that we need to do that come with the program.
We have the resources and they're available. I truly believe the fundamental approach to every strong athletic program is having a great strength and speed training program. It is. That's where it starts.
So Bob, to put it in perspective, we have 156 total athletes. That means kids involved in at least one sport, individuals.
And there's 44 in the 0 hour class that meet 3 days a week.
6:15 to 7:30. If anybody wants to come on in. In the high school, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all 44 of us are together at the church on Friday mornings. Bring your coffee. We'll find a good seat for you. You're more than welcome to come.
We like to have church service on Friday.
Yeah. Anybody got any questions? Anything to ask?
So I think it could just be rumors, but that I hear from other parents too is if you know somebody has an event that day, like they have a track meet that day,
I'll answer it before you even finish. If you talk to the experts, if this is what you've trained your body to do, you lift 3 days a week. This is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We lift on Fridays for football because the experts say that's your lifting day. That's when you're supposed to do it. You've trained your body to do it. You do more harm by not doing it that day than you do by taking it off.
Even in other sports?
Every sport.
Every sport.
Every sport. Doesn't matter.
Small.
Doesn't
That's why it's
matter.
multiple sport.
It doesn't matter what sport. If you're going to the state track meet and you're throwing on Friday afternoon and your lifting day is Friday morning, you need to lift weights on that day.
But would it be a regular lifting? Like, would you guys choose to do like a max weight lift that day? I don't know anything about it, so that's why I'm asking.
Whatever the program
We
set up.
did.
And
I don't have high school
So-
yet.
So let's clarify, when we max, we're never doing a 1 RM. We're doing about 90% for reps. Then it calculates to the 1 RM. So we're never.
That's twice a year.
And that's twice a year.
That's it.
Does does it have differentiation for in-season, out-of-season, hypertrophy?
Yes, but we take some of that stuff out because it's too much. It's like there's a bit like hypertrophy, it's too much. Like the volume, the quantity, it's way too much to do. Like get rid of some of those. Like we can, get feedback and tells you stuff and talk to the people. Like you got to get rid of some of those phases because by the time a kid does that, if they have a game or practice, the workload is way too much, so we don't do it.
So I think that's where there's maybe some confusion. So when you're doing like hypertrophy, that's when you're like tearing your muscle fibers down and it could harm your performance. But these guys have taken those things out, so we're not building for mass, we're building for athletes.
We're building athletes.
Right, and it's every day or every week.
My question to you, were you doing the breeze squats, the 1x20s over there, you and I, or was that after?
That was after.
Jed started doing that.
Yeah.
So in some of the programs I've done before with some of the other guys, we were doing those things. That's just too much. Even when we talk with Warburg, they don't do that anymore. It even comes down to this. So I like the condition of football players. They'll love to do it, but you gotta do it. But after doing all this, we condition 1 day a week, and now what do we run? 540s on Monday? That's it. We condition during the game. We condition at practice. Some of the universities have gone to what they call red, yellow, green days. On red days, the varsity players in college, the ones, get 5 reps of team. That's it. They focus on the other because by the time they started figuring out running 75 plays a day, they were playing 3 games before Saturday. So now they're backing off. That's something that opened my eyes the other day that I learned. We run probably 60 plays on Tuesday, 60 plays on Wednesday, and 60 plays on Thursday. So I need to adjust that. But it's also the coaches that need to back off and do that when it's those days. Green days, it's full go. Yellow days, it's half. Red days, it's a quarter.
So that's why we're gonna run the flying 23 is the max and we run. And every 10 meters, a minute of rest because we're training speed. We're not training endurance. That's the point of it. Speed. That's it. So I'll get my watch, I'll get my phone out, and we run. There's a lot of complaining and choice words. Sometimes, come on, hurry up. So no, this is the way it is. Quality over quantity. That's what we're looking for.
Well, it's hard to argue with results. And when you look at, as an institution, as a district, our athletic performance has certainly been something that, we'd like to improve for many years. And the board's been supportive of trying to get facilities, and we've supported this, hiring the right people and getting coaches and training and sending these guys to professional development. And the data shows that this stuff is working, right? We just need people to buy into it, and we need kids to show up, right? Because it works. It doesn't work overnight. You're not going to be like, hey, I'm going to go live for 2 weeks and then I'm going to be an all-star. Right? It takes years. It takes commitment to, hey, we're gonna be better and make ourselves better. Still disappointing to hear we have 156 athletes and 44 showing up.
We're probably enrolled in 0. So we probably have another 30 taking it during the day.
Okay.
But every other week, that's only 2 lifts a week. So they're not getting in 3 lifts a week. Because they'll be Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then they don't get their 3rd lift.
And they don't get all the speed stuff with
And
it, so they aren't being well rounded.
They don't get any of the feed the cats or the speed things that we're doing this morning.
It's a team effort. If they're all doing it, you're all gonna be your best.
That's right.
100%. So if you know any high schoolers, talk them into it.
Absolutely. But those are some of the things we hear. Why take it during the day? Well, okay, but you're missing out on 4 lifts a month.
one of the things we're doing to help maybe combat that, the early morning is tough. And some of the feedback we get from athletes, late nights, coming home and turn around, gotta go tomorrow morning. This is part of what we do. So we are integrating and adding, we have a beginning weightlifting during the day right now. We're adding the intermediate weightlifting to next year's schedule, and we're doing intentionally 5th hour and 8th hour into homeroom, so that they're both the longest periods of our day. And the 5th hour never moves no matter what the schedule does, it's lunchtime. So that will give our athletes the time to do both speed and lifting at the same time. And it'll give more opportunity for those athletes to engage. So there's really not going to be an excuse to not take it during the day. And that's where I think, getting our coaches on board to encourage them to enroll and be a part of it is going to be huge. So I do agree with Emma's statement. I've looked at lots of different speed and conditioning programs. I think Volt's great. I think you can put up any program, but if you're not going to come and be consistent and follow it and be diligent, it's not going to work for you. So we've invested a lot of time and money, and we just need that consistency. And I think, we're supportive and we want to meet those needs. Just getting the kids in the rooms, they do a good job, really, making a culture of winning and excellence.
The best thing is we get to see the kids at SIT 15 before a lot of parents do, so we can engage in those conversations too. Oh, my mom and dad, this or that.
The kids that are enrolled in this, do they have to take physical education?
That is their PE. That's their PE.
That's their PE.
Which they don't know how lucky they have. 80% of the high schools don't have that. And guess when those athletes lift? 6 a.m. Because when can you do it? If you're all playing at sports, you can't do it after practice, after school. And then if you do it after practice, then we're not getting home till 7:30. So, that's, that's the trade-off. They're getting a grade. It's their PE grade. And they're getting to fight, 2 battles. Become a better athlete and I'm getting credit for PE.
Another cool thing that these guys do, I'm gonna ask each one of you what your favorite protein bar flavor is. Emma?
Oh, definitely the caramel. We've been out of it for like 3 months.
Oh,
Just got it back today.
There we go. Rick? Caramel. Max?
Chocolate.
Oh, there we go. So you guys might have to come in and try one for yourselves, but the Booster Club, because of these guys asking them, have donated protein bars and some protein milk, right, for them. So that way, after lifting, they get refueled as well, and they build those muscles. So I personally like the cookies and cream one, but that's just me,
Anything else? If you got any questions or ever want anything, come on in.
Yep.
The door is always open.
I think we're doing a lot of cool things. I think they like what we're doing. It's just getting more involved would help.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, kids.
All right, we're on to reports. Since Jacobs, you're on again. You get it all done.
So my report's pretty short this month. Just want to give a shout out to Liz Stang. She is our prom coordinator. And if you didn't know, prom was this weekend. And it was awesome. She did a great job, and thank you to her and all of our parents for their support. There's a nice little picture there. And Mr. Thomas just walked out, but he is taking 5 girls to DECA Nationals. What a bummer. They're going to Orlando, Florida for that. Could you think of a worse place to go this time of year, especially after waking up to snow this morning? But they'll have fun. It won't be all work and no play. They did purchase some tickets to go to, I think it was Universal Studios. So that'll be a fun thing, and the 5 girls will get to present in their various business ventures that earned them a spot down there at Nationals as well, so that's pretty cool. Our new AEDs that we ordered for all facilities will be delivered on Monday, so that's exciting. We ordered 2 additional ones, so that way Mike Vandenhall doesn't have to take one out of its case like at the high school and take it out to the football field. He will have a portable one with him at all times now. And then we also have one for the sports complex for baseball and softball. I know several people have reached out with concerns about having one out there after some recent events this past NFL season. So we figured it's just time, let's just replace all of them in the district and make sure that we're being safe everywhere. Boys and girls golf, and boys tennis opened their seasons with a win this year. And to today, boys and girls golf have only lost one meet so far this year. Pretty awesome. They have some stacked teams, so they're doing really well. Boys tennis has gone on to win another meet. Girls tennis has been very close. They lost 9 seniors last year, so their entire starting lineup. So it's a rebuilding year for them, but they're having a lot of fun. Track's a little harder to kind of keep track of some of that stuff because there's so many events, but we consistently have some of our athletes placing in the top 8. If you follow Husky Activities on Twitter, you'll see I post the top 8 from events after every single meet. And I post the top 8 because those are the ones who earn points for the team sport. And I will not read all of these under awesome, but we had our state solo and small ensemble contest for band and choir. So there you can see everybody who competed and earned a Division 1, 2, 3. We had no Division 4s or 5s, which is really good. So Sarah Throckmorton, I'll point out a few though. She had a perfect ballot on her timpani solo, which is super hard to do. Like that's just really, really cool. So band had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 Division 1s, and then if you keep scrolling down, you'll get to choir. And Miss Feeling split this up into solos, duets, and ensembles. So 4 soloists received a Division 1 in choir, 1 duet received a Division 1, and then we had 5 ensembles received Division 1s there. And then there's a ton of other kids. We just had an amazing group go to solo contests. I mean, it's pretty neat when I think, Mr. Headley, you drove a bus.
Yeah,
Right?
they sang all the way.
It was a full bus, you know. So, just very proud of our kids and the representation that they had for Old Line at this event. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. McGinnis.
All right, short and sweet for me this month too. So this quarter, we celebrated our students who demonstrated grit, both from the very beginning of the year and those who have kind of developed their grit over time. We also had a special guest with us this month. Our kids got to meet our newest mascot, Moxie. So there's pictures there. The week of April 3rd, our 3rd and 4th grade students completed ISASS testing. I want to say we're probably about 98, 99% of the way done right now. We just got some makeups and some students with accommodations to finish up. But teachers and students did a great job adjusting to tech issues that every place seems to have around this time of year. And they put in a tremendous amount of effort. I'm really, really hopeful about our data. I'm really looking forward to digging into it and seeing the progress that our kids have made. And so kind of what's upcoming, it's going to be a very, very busy next 6 weeks for us at Wings and Little Husky. We're going to have a tree planting. I wouldn't really call it an event, but we're going to plant a bunch of trees. Catherine Wiedemeyer got a grant through the Iowa DNR so our district purchases a whole bunch of saplings and then we get reimbursed for the grant. So we'll be planting trees around Waynes Park. This coming Wednesday is kindergarten roundup. So if you know anybody who's or anybody with kids who will be 5 by September 15th, have them stop on out. It's more of an informational meeting, just kind of get some of those jitters out, meet the teachers, get a tour of the facility, and ask any questions that they might have. So that's this Wednesday. Our next family involvement night is April 25th. We're trying to replicate the success we had with our 3rd and 4th family game night. So this time around, kindergarten through 2nd grade. And then beginning of May, we will start our final round of assessments for the school year with Spring Fast. Again, also very excited to see how well our students do on that. And then finally, I know when I emailed Michael about this, he just jumped for joy. But we're going to have a McTeachers fundraiser night through our McDonald's here in town, May 9th. So stop on out, 4:30 to 7 o'clock, May 9th.
Breakfast burritos for me.
There you go.
Fundraiser.
Gotcha.
Yep.
A little fact about the tree planting, just if you care to know, between the tornado and our ash trees in the past calendar year, we've taken down 44 trees in the district. And we got a grant for $2,500 from the DNR, and we're going to replace 12. So that's just the scope that ash trees and tornadoes can do and what it takes costs and infrastructure wise to put trees back in. So it's a lot. And planning to get those trees planted and watered and staked, and yeah, it's a lot for those 12. I can't imagine trying to tackle all 44.
All right, any questions? Thank you. Ms. Adams?
We are wrapping up our Iowa assessment testing. Out of 128 kids, as of last count, 122 have tested, which puts us at 95% completion. And then this afternoon, I had 2 emails that said I will be in the morning to get my testing done. I didn't dream we could get them, or that we would get them all tested in that amount. We were all over the state, and the teachers were amazing, and the amount of kids that showed up on time, ready to go, or were troubleshooting. I don't have a ride, can you help get me there? We were just super proud of staff, parents, kids, through all of it.
Why do you do all that?
What do I do all what?
All the traveling and all that stuff. I mean, it's a virtual school. Why do you do all that?
Because we need to meet our kids where they're at. The state says we need to test, and I can't expect parents are gonna take time off of work and drive their kids 3 hours to test and then drive 3 hours home. It's the least we can do. We did not ask any family to drive further than 20 minutes. We were able to get enough centralized test centers that nobody had to drive further than 20 minutes, and parents were beyond appreciative for that. So it was very helpful. Kids' feedback, which I thought was interesting, most things were split up over 2 half days of testing. So for some parents, that meant they had to find rides for their kids 2 different days. The kids said they wouldn't have it any other way. They liked the 2 half days, they got a break, they knew they were doing a couple, but they didn't have to worry about anything until the next day. So we will probably lean again towards half-day testing next year. And then our Odyssey kiddos, we have a new student with us, and the transition has gone well. But one of the things we're, I think, more excited about is the students are now, when they earn tickets, they are looking at bigger pictures, not just, ooh, I earned McDonald's for lunch, or I get an extra recess. One of our students, and I put the link in for the slideshow, he wanted to shadow Mr. Post. And so he was up at the middle school for half a day, shadowing Mr. Post. He got to walk through classrooms, he got to hand out tickets, he did the all clear on the hallway sweeps. The fact that he's looking for, gosh, I love that kid, looking for incentives, reasons to work that are, you wouldn't expect that out of a 5th grader, that he wants to shadow an adult rather than go play outside. One of our other students right now, he is saving all his tickets because he would like to do a class field trip to Fontana. So he wants to earn enough tickets so the whole class can go, which I just think says volumes about what they're doing in Odyssey and building that internal motivation and that want to get along with their peers. Questions?
Thank you. Ms. Hampton?
All right, mine is short as well. On April 3rd, we had our band concert, and it was led by Mr. Zachary Miller, who's been filling in for Mrs. Franzen. And he did a great job, and as, barely a first-year teacher, we'll say a first-half-year teacher, he did an excellent job, and I'm happy to say that he is going to be a new staff member. upon board approval, at OMS next year. We also had our choir concert and for 7th and 8th grade, and they again did an amazing job. It's just so nice to see so many kids involved. Maintaining that involvement, I think, is vital. We are officially done with ISASS testing. Looking at all of our numbers, we are 100% done. The only students who did not test were students who are on all assessment, but those are also getting done. So we're anxious to see how the students performed. You just never know. Hope's not a great strategy, but this is one we're gonna use today. And then, really looking at me saying, we don't have a science teacher yet or anything like that. We've been very fortunate. We had interviews for our open positions, and we are fully staffed. And then someone resigned, so now we're not fully staffed, but close enough to fully staffed. But we had a great pool of applicants to choose from. And decisions had to be made, so that was nice, instead of just the one person who applied. So we're feeling really good about those opportunities that will be there for our students next year.
Great, any questions? Right, Mr. Hadley?
Yeah, good evening. Probably should have compared notes with Ms. Jacobs, but Mr. Kinnan and I also recognize and want to say thanks to Ms. Sang. This is a picture of her receiving a check for prom from 29 Nutrition, a new business in town. That's a senior, Kayla Bogus, who works there as well. They did a fundraiser to sell 29 Nutrition to staff and donate. But Ms. Sang, she's a machine, man. She went right from an awesome speech season, which is a lot of time and effort, and right into prom. And then today, right away, we met as a group and debrief prom, and she was excited to hear feedback. What can I do better for next year? And she even pitched trying to do a dance at the end of the year. And I was like, we're tired, Yeah, you're like, are you sure you want to do May 19th? I'm going home, But we'll see. But she's a go-getter, and she's been just killing it. And I felt like prom went very well this year. We've made some changes the last couple of years that are different, and different's always hard, but we had good feedback. We took the challenging feedback that students gave us this morning too, and we're gonna make it even better next year. So really good participation, kids had fun. Updates like everybody else, we're through the ISASS window, and on the other side, that's complete for us. As far as healthy, you just heard from Mr. Vanderloop. We got some formatting stuff going there, it's all good. Mr. Vanderloop actually borrowed I call them drunk goggles, but alcoholic impairment vision goggles from Iowa State Patrol and brought them into his health class. He had kids doing different activities in the gym. It was really interesting to kind of see. I get to look in on that and kind of watch students. Hopefully they get the message. This is not something to mess around with. And I think a good learning experience. Mrs. Hadley led a group of 17 to London. Took them all the way across the pond for, I think, all but one student. This was their first time on an airplane. So even going through TSA was like its own learning experience, right? And then to go to another country and to experience it. And while they were there, I was actually blown away from hearing them come back and talk about the educational experience. It sounded like a fun, neat trip. But then when they start talking about, they learned about code breaking in World War II, one of the center hubs they were there to visit. They went to Stonehenge and learned about the engineering. They did hands-on activities. They did like a CSI investigation, and then that night followed the Jack the Ripper tour and learned about Jack the Ripper. So there was just time after time. I was just, my daughter was also on the trip. She's a junior, and she made me sit down and watch a documentary, which never thought would happen, right? We went from Frozen to this CSI documentary in a span of a year, I think. It seems like as a dad, but just really neat. Already looking at next year, a lot of kids have asked that went on the trip when we go again, and kids that didn't get to go, am I eligible, can we go? So they're actually going to meet Wednesday night to talk about doing a trip to Costa Rica, and that will be similar in this way. It'll be educational, but also there's some volunteer aspects where they get to help build a school, get hands-on, and actually give back to some of the poor communities that they're going to be visiting, as well as really get to interact with the culture. So really excited for that, and I think hopefully something that we can continue. I think this is an experience that is needed and definitely expands the horizon. We had a data review at the AEA. Probably not as much fun as going to England. That's what I did while they were gone. But it was really insightful to find out how we can continue to be proficient in math, ELA, supporting our SPED population. ISAS was a big deal for everybody, but for us, last year we were able to move off the targeted list into proficient. That's a big thing. We're hoping to stay there, and that's our goal. So we've really been looking at how can we do that. One of the keys is going to be our very high special education population and serving them extremely well. A lot of that correlates with low SES, and so there's a lot of challenges to moving them forward, but we've really tried to hit on some keys to helping them. Mr. Lake took his future planning class out to East Penn. Awesome facility, awesome tour. We've also, you probably see kiddos hopefully in your businesses. We've been pushing them out to a lot of job shadowing opportunities. We had a sophomore visit a fabrication shop in Fairbank. He got offered a job on the spot. He's been going there every night after school. He makes $20 an hour for 3 hours a night, and then he works all weekend. A student who was passing like one class, now he's passing everything. He's motivated. He's coming back. So I think getting kids to like really see what this is about and what it's for is helpful. So thank you for those who have hosted, and if you're interested in bringing a student over, let us know. Work with Mr. Labe. Not included in there, I was thinking about a state FFA is happening right now. We've got some kiddos up there. And then we just had 8 students complete welding. They had their welding certificate. That just ended last week, so that's really exciting. Some of them are seniors that hopefully will join our work community or go on to further that. And then we also had 21st Century Group take 40-some kids to the Lion King in Des Moines, which looked awesome, full production. And then we also had another 20 or so go to a Minnesota Twins game last Monday to watch the Twins play the White Sox. So again, experiences, right? Like professional ballpark, all made possible just because of staff members are willing to step up and kind of create these positive opportunities for our kiddos. So a lot of cool things going on.
Any questions? All right, we're moving on. No public hearing?
None.
Discussion items.
All right, ready? This is an exciting one.
We got a map.
Okay, so yeah, land lease agreement. Michael and I have been approached by a company that would be interested in reaching an agreement with the school district to identify a few spots of land that we own, and then entering a long-term lease agreement on those spots of land to erect cell phone towers. And those cell phone towers would be 5G only. So they're not your traditional in the country 500-foot long thing with big wires. The towers are just above the tree line. I provided you 2 pictures, kind of what they could look like. So they're much cleaner. They kind of look like a light pole. They're a little bit taller than a light pole, but they need a 40 by 40 foot blueprint. They put fencing around it, they power it, they service it, and the benefits to the district are multifold. One, it would certainly improve the internet service to our community. So 5G is capable, it's a cell company, is capable of matching the performance of fiber internet in the house. So it would be competitive to a MediaCom CenturyLink in terms of performance that we get in our homes, which many of our homes, those MediaComs and CenturyLinks say are fiber ready, but they don't run the fiber to our community. So that's the competitive side, I think, which would be valuable for Oelwein. It would be valuable because we have such spotty and terrible service in our buildings that it's a security concern, just in terms of safety of students, that teachers can't get cell phone reception in our buildings. And there are times that we need them to have cell service, and so it could become a problem. And then last, and depending on your view, maybe the most important, but I think to me it's the third important, that there is a financial incentive in the thousands and thousands of dollars that this could potentially mean for the district. So hard to say on how it would land, because they can lease up to 4 leases on the specific tower, and there's a a lease sharing agreement. So if they are able to sell 4 spaces on that tower, we receive the revenue from all 4 of those leases. They would not erect it unless they get 2 leases. So say it's US Cellular and Verizon, then we get a share of that lease agreement for the life of the lease, which typically is 30 years. The numbers that he came with were he was looking at 2 towers, 2 lease agreements. He didn't realize the scope of land that we had. And if you look at the map, kind of how you could market it to the companies to kind of get a quadrant around town. So in theory, if you get if you get 4 of them leased with 2 companies, it would obviously double that agreement. He was projecting numbers in the 200,000 to 300,000 range over a few years in potential lease agreements. So there's some upfront money. It's very lucrative from their perspective. The reason they like schools is because we have land, and then it benefits the community and the district, obviously, financially. And they've found this company, it's called Arcadia Towers is the name of the company. They've found that schools are easy to work with, just in terms of infrastructure, communication, systems. And that's kind of their business model. You can Google them. There's school districts all over the country that they're kind of getting in business with. 5G is their thing, so they're not really competing on the big towers. They're going more local. So 5G is not great in the country, right? Like further out, it's more powerful. It's higher speed, but it's more powerful in localities. So the closer you are to the hub, the better the performance is, which is why they are targeting centers, like a population center like Olwine. My last thing, I'm going to jump in here. What they're asking for is a marketing agreement. So there's no agreement on site. There's no agreement on erecting the towers. There's no agreement on any of that stuff until they go to the companies and the companies say we're interested in these spots, and then you lease the land. So the agreement is just for them to go to the market and say, we have these potential addresses. Would you be potentially interested in leasing tower space in this spot for this much over this many years? And then those companies basically bid on it, and then they come back to us with, here's what we have. And there's no money or anything for us to ever put out. So Michael can jump in here, but our question tonight is just, is this something that interests you? If it does, we can pursue it further. If it's not interesting, if it gets too political or too messy or whatever, then let's go different. Let's tell them no.
There are only 2 other things I wanted to add in terms of positive. One is he assured us that we'd always have space on the tower. So for what our purposes would be, if we need to amplify our signal for the district.
CB radios.
Right. And then when we had that storm a couple of years ago, it knocked down our radio tower, and this would, we could put that to use for that as well. So those were 2 other positive kind of selling points that I heard in the presentation.
It's a lot. It's kind of
We're not out anything by pursuing it right now.
That's correct.
We should at least listen.
Okay. Any questions or concerns to bring up?
I would listen, but I've been partially involved in one and involved in another. Neither one turned out well. Not with this company.
Sure.
One of the issues was they really want to get a hold of you, and then they're able to run when they want to run, not be too committed to anything. And the other one was they promised you that you would get service, and you found out later that it wasn't worth much. That you were really bound, and the service went downhill, and you were counting on significant revenue or significant usage of the space that turned out to be virtually worthless.
Okay.
So, nothing the matter with looking, but just definitely wanna.
Skeptical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would, so I'm just thinking of our own like cell phone stuff, you know, most people have US Cellular or Verizon probably in our area. So if, how do I wanna word this? You don't really get coverage with some of those other things, like outside, so I wonder how far reaching is it, like outside of our community?
It wouldn't be, so it would be, I mean, once you would leave Oldwine proper, the coverage, so like let's say that T-Mobile got space on the towers, so you would have 5G capability in town, but once you leave town, you go to the other towers, and you would lose that capacity.
So my thought would be if it's not a Verizon or US Cellular contract, it's really
Not in terms of.
not beneficial for your personal cell phone.
Yeah, I would be,
So
I mean, he was, I think, skeptical that, you know, they would go after the market, so whoever has market share in this area is who they would target for their marketing, yeah. Yeah, I would, and I don't think those, you know, those companies, I mean, they know where their customers are, they wouldn't probably bid on something that's not gonna be lucrative for them, unless they want to crack into that market. Yeah, I think the market opportunity is not in cellular space, it's in home internet. That 5G,
hotspot or
yes, that, I mean, Verizon and US Cellular are both starting to really push the home internet. And when you get 5G, it's, you know, it's a game changer because it can run just as fast. And the difference between a 5G and a fiber is the net is higher. So if you have fiber internet, you maybe have 1 gig of download speed, but only maybe 10 megs of upload speed. On 5G, it's universal both ways. So there's no latency between the upload and the download. The drawback is that, you know, the weather can affect it. You know, it's a little, I mean, it's a line of sight, you know, beaming into your house versus a cable. I'm not here to sell the stuff.
Well, we wanna be cognizant too of what our neighbors think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, you're talking about putting up towers in somebody's backyard.
Right.
That, you know, there's a benefit, but not everybody sees that benefit the same way. I'm sure anybody that's ever put up a windmill in Iowa has had those conversations.
So is this cellular internet or wireless internet?
Cellular.
So this is true cellular, okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I mean, we could, in theory, like if there was a tower on, let's just say, our campus, we could use space on it, and we could broadcast our Wi-Fi with if you have a big enough access point, enough power, you can throw a Wi-Fi signal across your campus. Colleges are doing that. They're having like a dome-based Wi-Fi where it's bigger receivers, single points, and they can throw a larger band across their campus versus these hubs that, you know, are in buildings. So I would imagine that's the direction that tech will, you know, eventually. I don't know how far away we are, if it's 10 years or 15 years, but that's probably what, you know, as these towers are erected in communities, that's ultimately what would likely happen.
And I can't get mine to go from the upstairs to the downstairs.
I have the same problem.
So this cute tree picture, that's what they'll do with it?
They can't. They have the capability of they're called monopines. So this is a monopole, and this is a monopine,
I like the monopine.
and they have the capability to make their poles look like trees.
Oh, it's not a real tree. I thought it was like, you know, something.
Oh, they put it in a tree? No, it's a pole that looks like a tree.
Okay, well, I still like the better.
Yeah, it really is pretty innovative when you think about, you know, being an obstruction to views and stuff. Yeah, we can, I mean, we can ask more questions, and move forward with a marketing, and bring that back for your consideration.
Probably run it by the attorney and see what he has to say.
Good idea. I'm sure, yeah, because I'm sure their attorney's taking a look at it.
All right.
Next one?
We are on to, 28, this is a deep one, 2080.
All right, so the city has approached me about taking a look at our 2080 agreement for the enrichment center. So I provided the entire 2080 agreement for you. It is a little lengthy. It's probably a worthwhile read if you've never taken a look at it. It was drafted in 2002. It's a 25-year agreement. Mouthful. So it expires in 2027, which it makes sense for us to start having conversations now, because these things, it's like, trying to stop a train or turn a ship around. If we're going to do anything different, significantly different, it could take months and years to do something. So we want to just start the conversation. Between Mr. Molfinger and I, we have brainstormed just different conversations. We're not really practicing some of the pieces in the agreement now. And generally, I think if you talk to our administrators, we have some questions and concerns just about what access do we have, what usage do we have. We have a separate lease agreement that we pay for staff membership, so they get unlimited use. That could come into play. There is the Greater Ojai Area Charitable Foundation is also involved in this, and the question is, do they need to continue to be? They were in it as a referee, to be the kind of the seventh member of a 7-member board. So there'd be 3 and 3 from the city, 3 from the district, and then they were the 7th member to play referee, to be that neutral party. It's never really worked out that way, and never really been great. So do they even need to be involved anymore? Can we pull them out? And then just what are the uses? Things come up from time to time, bathroom use, maintenance. The building is now 21 years old, and it's going to start to see higher cycles of maintenance, and those costs are going to go up. And so what's our commitment going to be for the future of the facility, and what does that look like in a partnership with the city? So I'm looking for feedback tonight, maybe just some quick general discussion, feelings, thoughts. I've been invited to a city council work session to kind of open the door to them as the council. We can do all kinds of things. We can do a joint meeting. We have that capability to do a public meeting between both the board and the council. We can do subcommittees. There's a lot of different things we can do to kind of work through this. But just wanted to bring it to you guys, put it on your table, put it on the board table, and say, what do you think? How do you want to move forward? Give some time to process it. We can keep bringing it back up. Again, we don't have to be in a rush or a hurry, but we do want to start kind of looking at this and what does the future hold? Because it is a big deal. I mean, it's a big facility. It's used by a lot of people. So we want to make sure we get it right.
Well, we have done it all in the past. We've met with them. We've met with the city in the library. We've done that before. That was also in the tennis, when we were talking about tennis. And this got brought up. And we've also had, like, we're the board president, and then another designee, and then you, and we've done that too. So, but then that kind of went away. And I don't know when it went away. Well, I mean, I think if you look at these names. Yeah.
The Herald, yeah, but
But I mean, this is, a 25-year, I mean, I started the board a year after this was signed, so.
I don't think we've met since COVID. That we were, we tried to meet. I'm not sure that we were ever really accomplished much of anything. A lot of complaining happened.
A lot. That's
with
why
no real solutions. Which I think all the parties always left frustrated. So I think there's an opportunity for us to maybe kind of, I don't know if we throw the baby out with the bathwater and start from scratch, or we just start getting really heavy with a red pen, or we just go in and kind of renegotiate thoughts and kind of use, or I don't know.
Could you just maybe explain a little bit, who owns the building?
Oh, that's a great question. So the city owns the building. The city owns the building, we own the land. The 2080 agreement is outlined that the city will own the building, run the building, we maintain the building, and if the city, or actually if either party decide to walk away from the 2080 agreement, then all property is disposed of to the school district. That's the kind of the fail-safe.
So the city runs it, and we pay to keep it up, is that what you said? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't catch all that.
Yep, we maintain
We're
it.
doing the maintenance.
We do
on it
maintenance.
and the cleaning.
No, they clean it. We do
Okay.
change the lights,
Right.
fix
You
the
do all the maintenance.
toilets.
They do the house or the
Yep.
cleaning of the. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean that's good. We just bought a new floor scrubber, and we split it 50-50. So $800 or $8,000, and they went 4,000. We went 4,000.
So then, how about as far as, is there some agreement as to the amount of time that it gets used by each group? How is that?
So that is a little bit outlined in here, and that in the agreement it's left to that committee that's supposed to decide what that usage
And
is.
who is that committee? Anymore?
And that's what's always been a point of contention in terms of how that gets decided, on who gets to use it and when they get to use it. I would say that is the most contentious issue. And everybody leaves unhappy.
Everybody wants to use it at the same time.
Everybody wants to have unlimited use and you get to dictate when they use it. I mean, that's kind of the long and short of it. Just
okay.
Well, it'd be interesting. I mean, this kind of would be boring, but it would be interesting to see how much that we're actually doing and of this and what we're not. So, like, what can we take away because we're not doing it?
I do. Yeah, there is a
do you
working.
have-
Yeah, there's a working draft that
Oh,
Dylan and I
okay.
have where we've started to redline. Just
Because I know
what
we're-
are we not? Just if we were to just write it, just take what we have today and what are we not doing, and just redline it. What's
Right.
left?
Right. That's.
There's it's quite a bit. I mean, if you were just
This
to
is pretty
rewrite it so it was reflective of reality, yeah, I mean, a lot of this would come out.
Right.
So I think the question is, what do we? I mean, do we want to enter another 25-year agreement? And what does 25 years look like? And how do we make it? What are the improvements or what are the processes that we want to be improved upon to make that agreement? Or I mean, do we just renegotiate, or you as a board hold quite a bit of leverage in the fact that, I mean, there's a clause in here. Surrender upon extermination or termination. It's on page 12, number 20. That at the expiration of the agreement or upon termination of the agreement, the city or foundation shall surrender the property in good condition as when the beginning of the term, reasonable use or wear. And then also 29, termination, which is on page 14, termination prior to expiration of term. This agreement may be terminated prior to the expiration of the term as follows. It goes through there. Item C, any party may terminate the agreement for any reason given 1 or 1.5 years notice in writing, notice to be delivered before January 1 and termination to be effective on June 30th, 1.5 years later. So I am not suggesting that we use the nuclear codes, but that is the nuclear codes.
But it's something we need and something the city needs.
Absolutely, I think that's the,
To me, it's just, the one thing we have to look at from a district is we took on basically a new facility and we committed to maintain the facility. They agreed to do the housekeeping. Well, now we're taking on a 25-year-old facility. So we can kind of expect that our expenses now are gonna be significantly greater than they were since we're in the second 25 years of life than the first 25.
sure, yeah.
And what could that cost the district?
I see the value of the Performing Arts Center, but what about the Wellness Center? We can never have basketball practice in there, or my kids have never been able to practice in there. Do kids regularly get to use that for school activities or ever?
Jamie, I'll let you answer that question.
It's very difficult, for us to get in there. Now, part of it is some coaches don't like to use that facility because of the floor that it's made of. You know, it's a torn ACL waiting to happen. But then there are other times, you know, like during track season where, yeah, it would be really nice to have our kids in there, on the track or on the cardio machines, things like that, where we're met with a lot of opposition
From
the staff.
Staff because of the members.
Yeah.
Which I hear, because it does stink when you're a paying member. Granted, it's a good deal compared to a lot of places, but you go there, do something with your kids, and if it's full, like volleyball, club volleyball, or I'll take my kids, you know, for pitching and stuff, but that's not school related, that's outside. But it does stink as a member if you get the whole thing full of volleyball and you didn't know it, and you get there and you can't use it, you know, so I get that from a member standpoint, because they are paying to go there.
I will say also that, Little Husky, our kindergartners use that as their gym once or twice a week. So they have PE class in there, especially during the winter months, a couple times a week.
Is the after school thing in there, is that part of the school? Is that part of Little Husky? What are all those little kids in there?
That's what they do. They run an after school program.
Oh, it's not, I thought it was affiliated with us.
It could be, like, the childcare uses it too from time to time. Depending on the weather, getting outside, they do use it.
So currently, the Wellness Center has very little value to us.
I would say not a high value. I mean, if you're saying like how much, you know, like what is the value? It could have more value than what we currently are getting.
Oh, yeah. When Sacred Heart was closed, it was a pain to find a gym. And knowing that there was a couple of hoops down here that were available, but you couldn't use them, was frustrating.
It is. I think the city got to experience the frustration on the other side when our numbers were, you know, just tonight we talked about weightlifting. Well, our numbers were up to a point where it was kind of crowded for our kids, and then there was public folks in there too. And our coach, you know, they came and said, hey, like, our kids are trying to lift, and there's like old guys in there lifting too. It's a little awkward for our kids. Well, that weight room is properly ours, you know, and we get to say when it gets used, just like they get to say when the gym gets used. And we said, nope, we're going to close this for our kids because we don't want those members in there when our kids are lifting. And yeah, it definitely ruffled some feathers. There was some folks that were upset about that, but it was the exact same thing, just the shoe was on the other foot. And just it's that kind of stuff all the time. I shouldn't say all the time. It's not all the time, but it does come up several times a year.
If it's Saturday or no, basketball's teams in there, aren't they? Like the young girls were in there this year.
But they're not affiliated with the school. They're their own separate club.
Yeah, junior Huskies is its
Yeah, so I'll bring kids in there a lot, but I pay for the kids to be there or whatever. Or their parents.
The Performing Arts Center's got a good deal though, where they use it for their own stuff, but then the school also can use it. I'd like to see the rec center be able to do that to where they could designate time for the school if we needed it. I'm not saying we gotta have it all the time, but it'd be nice to have more sharing.
Sure. No, I agree. As a thought exercise, it's been brought up like what if the city stepped away, or what would it look like, or would the school commit to running it as a public facility like the city does if the city stepped away. And although I like to think that we could run it as a public facility, it would look very different. I mean, our usage would go up exponentially, and the public space, which would probably be available, would be limited to when it's, Sundays and 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock to whenever, like, could guarantee that it's open.
And what is the majority of the public doing in there? The weightlifting and using the track? Are they,
They do like silver sneakers.
what's that?
It's
Walk the
sort of-
track.
Yeah, well, it's like an exercise program for people that are like Medicare age. There's always regulars, that go at certain.
Using the gym or using like the basketball court?
The gym,
Or
the
the
basketball
track.
court gym, yeah. I mean, there are like some that maybe go into the weight room when I've been there, but it's
Yeah, like track
it's mainly that track use or that one exercise
Or the
room around
cardio
balls. Yeah, the cardio room for sure gets used a lot by everybody.
They have a regular program that goes to 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's
There's a
like
coffee
classes
club.
off and on kind of.
That too.
My dad's a member of the company.
They do that. Would that raise all kinds of rates though? Like then if we did like that whole public thing, then with like your insurance, like all that stuff would probably go up to compensate for it, or it
Would
wouldn't really
ours?
make a difference, yeah.
Yeah, we would have, well, I think we already insure it, I'm just
Oh,
assuming we have some liability insurance over top of it.
Does Mercy's space, does that, their lease end around the same time?
So,
Aren't they in there as
we
well?
don't, so the Mercy thing is, it is confusing. So the city has an agreement with Mercy to run the facility. So they are the actual administrator of the facility. And their agreement is what allows Mercy Rehab into that spot. But to make the whole thing work, when that agreement was written, they rent that space from the district. So they pay us rent. Yes? Confirming?
Yeah,
we get a check from
yeah,
them.
yeah.
But we don't have any, we get the check, but we can't negotiate the rates. We don't get to kick them out if they don't pay. We don't manage that lease with them at all. That's all the city. Just to convolute things a little bit more.
You know that flow chart that you gave us that has to do with all school funding?
Yeah, I tell you what, every
Oh my
administrator that we hire comes in and like, explain this to me. I'm like, it takes about 3 years to start understanding how it all
Because the employees
works.
are paid through Mercy.
Yeah, Mercy employees, yes.
Yeah, we have a
there's
school.
three entities,
We have a
really.
school employee that got the COVID shot in the very first round because they teach classes in there as an employee of Mercy One. So they got the COVID vaccine before all the school employees did because they were a medical employee.
I can't make it up.
No, you can't.
I mean, they have some really good thought in this. I mean, these
They spend a
people
lot
that
of time on
signed this were some good forefathers of this community, so. But yeah.
For sure. Okay, just so to kind of summarize, maybe, we see value in it. We want to continue partnering with the city for the community aspect of it, but we definitely want to talk about maintenance and the costing of what this would look like over 25 more years. And we certainly want to negotiate more of a shared space usage with the district. Is that kind of the summary? Concerns about having conversations about removing some of the partners, whether it be the foundation and or maybe Mercy One even in terms of running it and what that looks like.
I don't know enough about the Mercy thing, but I'm a little hesitant to pull that foundation partnership out of there.
Sure. Well, we don't really hold the cards. I think it's just a conversation.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I think it has muddied the waters, right? When we talk about, when we're negotiating usage, and it's really the city and the district, but then there's other parties in there that are mixing in on it. It makes it challenging to just be, I mean, because we're the ones that take the heat for it. We're the ones that everybody looks at to say what's going on here, but there are other parties that are in there that, I don't know, again, they muddy the waters. They're supposed to be referees, but they're not really refereeing anything.
Yeah, I think the charitable foundation was in there just because of that's how we got this facility.
Right.
They are, because church donated all, I mean,
Yeah.
that's why we're able, and I think that's why they, in the beginning, that's why they were involved in it.
Initial, they don't continue to provide.
Oh, I don't know, I'm sure they do some, but not as a big of an impact as the beginning. I'm sure they donate, but not, not like millions that they did when they built it.
Yeah.
It'd probably be wise to do the same thing that Bob said about the
the attorney.
The cell agreement would be to send this version and then the redlined working version you got going with Dylan.
Well, even as a thought exercise, it might be worth talking about writing one from scratch, and we'd want an attorney to draw it up anyway.
Well, I'm sure Ron did this one.
Yeah.
I mean, right now.
This one had us pretty well protected as a district.
Yes.
So just hate to lose that in the next one.
Sure.
I mean, obviously everybody sitting here feels that way, but I'm just gonna say it, yeah.
Okay.
Is that enough?
Yep,
We
that's
got
good.
it?
Yep.
Got it? All right, now we're on to consent agenda items. Did I forget anything? No. Questions or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items.
I'll second that.
Aaron made the motion, Bob Culp seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. 11A is to approve the amendment to design the contract with CGA for the parking lot.
All right, so I got Matt Garber came to visit us today with CGA, so Clapsall Garber Associates, to talk about kind of the scope of the parking lot and kind of the plan that we talked about to amend the contract that we have with CGA to just basically kind of wrap up the contract, so to speak. So we had 4 different projects that we kind of had wrapped in one project, and with the city and our budget and completing the Little Husky project, we know what the scope is going to be now, and we're really ready to move forward. But we feel that it needed to be adjusted or kind of amended within our contract. So, Matt, if you want to talk a little bit about that, maybe about the scope of the project and what we have in mind.
Sure, appreciate the opportunity. If you want to maybe start at the end, maybe flip to those exhibits, those maps there.
You want to do the map?
Show those first and then talk through how we're going to get there.
Sure.
So, the main high school parking lot, and I guess this is basically what we went through kind of several different rounds, and we can kind of bring those up too if you want to, but I guess we don't have them on.
I don't have them linked, no.
Just talking with Mr. Hain and Michael, and we kind of were heading towards coming up with head-in parking. So right now your existing parking is over on this side, angle parking. I'm sure you're all used to it. And then the gravel parking lot is in this area here. 3rd Street is on this side, 8th Avenue here. Very similar to our parking lot in Conrad. It's gravel, holes everywhere, and very disorganized. One of the goals was to clean things up. So we settled on played around with diagonal parking. That gets kind of confusing. So we kind of went with a 90-degree in parking, a stormwater management area up here to try to collect the runoff up to that area. There's a small storm sewer that goes off into the west there, and we're gonna try to get the grades, the elevations will work so we can outlet it into there. Capture here with a small berm and then shape it so that it drains that way. And with the street not being part of the scope, we changed up this whole area a little bit where we're gonna replace some of the parking or the sidewalk, but not all of it. Try to keep certain stretches of it intact and not touch it to save some costs. But we were looking at reconfiguring the entrances. So right now you've got an entrance right here. There's one right here, and then another one generally right here. So there's just a lot of points of conflict for coming and going. So kind of shifting this one up to this street, combining these two into just one central one here, and then the one on this side over here is leaving it as it sits. So that's one big change, and then we're kind of coming up with another way to create some flow and space is cutting in some islands, curb and gutter islands around those in here. These would actually be then cut into the existing concrete and put an island in there. And then lighting would be the kind of the final piece of it. We'd put lights in each one of those islands, similar to the ones over there at the elementary school, correct?
Yep.
So we kind of identified what those, the vendor or the supplier was on those, so we got that identified.
Yeah, if you're curious, if you haven't been by Wings Park lit up at night, it's pretty dynamic. And there's the cool part about it. There's not a lot of light pollution. That they're LEDs, and it throws the light directly down onto the parking lot, and it doesn't just create a big, wide, bright area for the neighbors.
So I guess that's kind of the goal, is the final end product here. I guess as long as the board is good with that layout and that concept. The kicker is how to get there. So the money guy, so the budget will allow a certain amount in this fiscal year, a certain amount in that fiscal year. So we kind of did some scratching around a little bit and
oops, that's the wrong one.
Come up with trying to, we're proposing to do the demo, the tear out some of those strips of concrete in there, grade it, and rock it, put some curb and gutter down, probably around the perimeter, reconfigure a couple of those driveways, and then that would be fiscal year 24. So from after July 1st of this year, we can expend basically $250,000. And then after the July 1st of 25, the next fiscal year, come in and finish pave it and finish everything, put the lighting in and so forth. And that would be probably right around 435. And some of those items we can shift back and forth just as we fine tune it and as Michael fine tunes the budget. But that's kind of the concept, is get it, basically get a rock surface for winter time with some curb and gutter to define it, and then next July have the contractor come in and pave it, and then stripe it, put in the islands and restripe the existing parking lot. Probably wouldn't touch that until the next phase. Easier to define all the parking all at once.
Well, it'd help the base a lot, or to drive on it fully or pack it down.
Yeah, settle it down a little bit. And, it'd be good to settle it in, and then the paving contractor will come in. Probably have to bring in a little bit more rock, and then just dress it up, and then pave it over. So, I guess to get there, or like I said, our original contract or agreement from November of 21 had all four of those projects combined, and assuming that we were all going to bundle it all in one nice big project. So kind of talking with Mr. Hain, just decided let's maybe just be official and just delete out the ones we're not going to do that's left, we did invest quite a bit on, just the preliminary design and survey of that parking lot, and we do have a good concept of the parking lot and the drainage out here, so whenever we do want to do that, or able to do that, we can revisit it. But at least just, reset everything to zero on those, that we haven't got done yet. This parking lot here, the way it's spread out over 2 construction seasons, it's gonna take a little bit more effort from our end, so I guess we're talking about increasing it, from 90 to 107, which would be, finalizing that layout that we showed into a bidding documents, detailed construction specs, and then stage it, get it bid, and then providing the construction staking, the layout during construction, having a technician on site checking in with the contractor, doing quality control checks on the dirt, the rock, the paving, coordinating things with the staff as far as pay items, recommending change orders, recommending pay requests, all that sort of stuff, typical for contract administration and observation. And I think originally, if it was all done at once, I was estimating maybe an 8-week construction period. But breaking it up into 2, I'm gonna try to set it up as 6 weeks in one season, 6 weeks in the second. So it's more of a 12 period. Trying to think of anything else that we touched on or need to touch on.
It's good, Matt. If any board members have any questions, as you were talking through there, I appreciate. I don't know if you guys remember, Matt's a former school board member.
Yeah, and I
so
kind of brought me back to my 8 years on our board.
It makes it, we don't have to explain fiscal years and save money and that kind of thing. He definitely understands that, which has helped this process to, just we want to be able to straddle fiscal years to be able to make it work. And I'd say a lot of engineers would be like, why do you want to do that? It's going to be better for you to do it like this. And it's like, no, this is what we have to do. So Matt's been super helpful to try to make that happen. That's what we want.
And I really do like the getting it under a construction contract and get it paved. Because we could set it up as rocket and curb and gutter and leave it and then pave it someday in the future. But my high school at home, I think that was their plan 25 years ago when they built it, and it's still a rock with curb and gutter around it. It just never gets to the higher priority. But if we can get it budgeted and it works, I really like just committing to it and getting it paved.
Awesome. Questions?
How come so much of the curb in the center on the light poles? It seems like you're taking up an awful lot of parking spots. So for instance, each one of those other ones, that's 6 parking spots, right?
Yeah, kind of a lot. It's more of an aesthetic thing, I guess. And it provides a little bit of a nice walkway through there, and I guess that's all I can.
We could, and I can kind of. I asked a little bit for some of those things. The two larger ones were safety wise to create walkways for students to walk there, because they both match up with the entrances to the gym entrance, and the other one goes straight into the high school entrance. So it creates a pathway for kids, which we currently have. It's a zoo. Kids cross everywhere, and then the other ones were a little bit for student safety too. Our snow guys are going to hate curbs. They're going to hate them. I can hear the complaining already. But we do want to put light poles in there because that's another security concern. And I know how many students will back into light poles. So to create a little bit of buffer around those light poles with a little bit of curbing is going to save parents having to go get their bumpers fixed. I mean, that's just thinking about some of those things as a former high school principal. But I get I know that our snow guys are going to complain, and I'm going to deal with that for the next 20 years. And yeah, that we are giving up parking spaces for that trade-off. So, is that we talked about that?
And those light poles, I guess I see probably a couple foot of concrete footing sticking up out of the ground. So if somebody does tap it, it'll probably do more damage to their fender than the light pole. The surface of those, what's actually in those islands, we can discuss. But I envision maybe some sort of a brick paver type thing, not grass or mulch or anything, but something a little bit more permanent. I mean, we can pour concrete in it too, but I think just from an aesthetic standpoint, if we can figure out a way to do a colored concrete or some sort of a brick paper, just to break things up a little bit.
So I've had somebody ask me about the stormwater management. That's not gonna have water sitting in it very long after it rains, is it?
No, it would be graded so that it would be a dry basin, so that then, depending on the storm, but probably within 24 hours, it'll be drained out of there.
And we would have the option of making it a mowable surface or a rain garden landscaped surface if we wanted to as well, with grasses or
bioswale.
Yeah, bioswale.
Type thing.
Mosquito haven was
Absolutely.
brought up to me. That's not what they wanted to see probably in the neighborhood. Was that.
Could be an educational opportunity though. But yeah, I mean, those are kind of the details we'll work through here. Actually, we're probably, to be able to get things going, probably shooting for June bid letting. So probably June board meeting, we'd be, I typically like to open up bids a couple days before a public meeting. And then, so the June board meeting, we'd be bringing those construction bids and then giving folks the opportunity to, the construction window from, July 1 to, be wrapped up somewhere this fall. I mean, the bigger window, the more flexible on the pricing you can get.
Yeah, I think that will be a point of topic of conversation at least, is that we do have the potential to run into fall for the initial work, which will impact football parking, volleyball parking, and school parking, which we've kind of talked about internally with our leadership team, that that's a consequence that we're going to have to kind of deal with. We hope that it gets us better bids, that giving the contractors bigger scope gets us more competitive pricing.
It'll be tough for July 1 and having that functional by mid-August. That's a pretty tight time frame, and you'll pay for it. But if you can give them, say, a 6 weeks period at any point this fall, I think that would be the best. And then likewise again in the next year.
So are you envisioning this as a entrance only in the middle and exits out, or we're not, it's gonna be a free-for-all, whatever direction you wanna go here?
Right. No, I guess I envision that's still a two-way.
Okay.
And then this would be a two-way here, and then the one on that end would remain the same.
Are you gonna have any drive-throughs in the middle, that middle section, to where you don't have to go all the way around to the end to get to the far west side? Right now, it looks like you have to go all the way around.
Correct. Right now you do, but.
And is it the best idea to have an island right in the middle as soon as you pull into the main driveway there?
It'll help force them to split them around, but you are right, that could be a drive-through, and we shift the light one way or the other, or maybe even shift it up there and push the heads out that way.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have at least one cut through there, because that's what we got two now, it's really nice.
You mean to get to the back? Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're not putting a bumper all the way through that lot though, right? That's gonna be an open lot, correct?
Through here?
So you can pull straight through.
But when it's busy.
And the snowplow will be able to push it straight off that way. Yeah, that will be a straight through drive. But no, that's a good idea, a good point taken.
Any other questions? No?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
If you guys are okay with everything, maybe more discussion or questions, I would recommend approving the amendment to the contract and kind of giving Matt the green light to go finish construction documents and go out to get the contractors so we can come back with bids.
You've got a motion.
We're trying to
Is that all?
Sorry.
No, definitely, you said to make the revisions to the contract.
Yep.
I'll second.
Bob Bofska made the motion and Joni seconded to, what Josh said. Part paving. Let's get this done. It's almost like the school pool. It'll be like my last.
Is this like
Okay.
your last project?
Hurrah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. All right. B is to approve the Owine Online and Owine High School graduation list.
The list has been prepared and presented by Mrs. Adams and Mr. Hadley. We have in total, they're not designated by which school. They've all met the same standards, so there are 72 of them. Maybe, if I get through the whole list here. 75. Recommend approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the graduation list.
Second.
Aaron made the motion and Erica seconded to approve the list as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. C is to approve the fees for the 23-24 school year.
All right. A little bit of context here, and I maybe a significant parting of ways. So we have not discussed this ahead of time. Certainly willing to discuss and adjust on the fly here. But based on our continual overrun or negative dipping in of the driver's ed pool, this district has chosen for decades to pay for driver's education for anybody that would qualify for free or reduced lunch. So we've had a reduced set price and then a free price. And then those cost overruns have been basically covered or almost covered or not covered either by the district or by those that are paying in full. Always felt it was our duty and obligation to do so. However, recently, last year, the state legislature changed the law that parents can now teach children driver's ed themselves, get a certification from the DOT, and student can get their driver's license kind of on their own without having to go through a traditional driver's ed school or program. Our program, I would say, is still superior and just as good as anybody's else that's out there, and highly recommend it. But just in a lot of consideration, we would like to recommend removing the reduced and free option for driver's ed and require all students to pay. This is legal for us to do. The Iowa Supreme Court has a ruling from back in the 90s that designates what's allowable as a free reduced fee and what's not, and you can remove that waiver from driver's ed. So that's one proposal. In the same vein, as our conversations around preschool, thanks Matt, we would also like to recommend a reduction or removal of, we don't have free preschool, but we do have reduced cost preschool. And so we are recommending, again, with our negative balances, trying to shore that up. So we removed the reduced price there, and then just went with a cost that we felt was adequately represented by what childcare costs would be if those students were attending childcare for that same amount of time, to help cover our costs. And then activity passes, we're trying to keep our student activity passes low. And then we took a look at our conference. The lowest conference family pass by any other district in our conference is $200. Some are $300. Ours was $120 before. And so we are, our activities budget has been hurting. And so trying to put a little shot in the arm to help those. We thought maybe it'd be too large of a leap to go all the way to 200 in 1 year. So our recommendation is to go to 175 for a family pass. And then we kind of did some math to wiggle some things around to make sure that, you know, a family pass is a little bit better of a deal if you're, you know, 2 adults and a student. So we kind of tried to wiggle some of those things around in terms of what's the right deal and what's going to, you know, get people to buy a pass versus just pay for going to games or whatever. I don't know if we hit the nail on the head, but we took a pretty good shot at it. So I think the adult family goes up $20, the family goes up 50, the 55 and older goes up 10, and the student goes up 10. And then Haley Roth puts together our food prices every year. So we have the state sets what like adult prices have to be and how much we're allowed to go up for our other prices. I don't know why we pre-K 5 and we had a 6-12 price. Don't know why we had it that way. Just always been that way. So we're just removing one of those and going to one standard price. And then our milk prices continue to go up with inflation. So asking for a little bit more there to cover the cost of milk. It's a lot. I don't think we have not taken an aggressive swing on fees in my time here. So this is the most aggressive we've been, and we still think that they're pretty fair in comparison to what other districts are doing. So take questions or comments and recommend approval.
With the preschool, so of the ones that are free and reduced that are getting that lower rate, are they probably, some of them getting like help with their childcare too? So
yeah,
then
there's some BDF grants that are available that we are able to help with, some empowerment funds that the state can provide. The trick with most of them is most of them may qualify or do qualify for Head Start, and Head Start has always been willing to expand programming, but they don't get signed up in time, and so we can't. So then if the seats get full with Head Start, and then we end up kind of taking them on, so there's that challenge there. And it would be, you know, in this kind of situation, they can still get a half day for free. That doesn't ever change for preschool. So we will educate them for free for a half day. They just don't get the full day programming. That's what the state provides for 4-year-olds. Yep. Yeah, it's still a good deal. I mean, yeah, it's just that. I mean, our budgets can show the irony of all of this is that like we've run negative with driver's ed for years, but we're not allowed to run negative with that enterprise fund in preschool. Like we have to try to solve it. So this is how we're trying to solve it, but it's ironic, but it is what it is.
I know. My kids were free because we had, you know.
Yeah, we had that grant.
Yeah.
Did so do you think the number of people in preschool, you don't think that will go down much because of this?
No, I don't think this will hurt it at all. Justin, do you think it'll hurt at all?
No,
Sorry, Joe.
I don't think so. I mean, I think a lot of families appreciate the all day. just because they know their kids are, socializing with other kids their own age, getting, good quality of education throughout the day, and it's kind of offsetting sending them to daycare for the afternoon.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're sending them to daycare essentially at the same cost and getting a highly qualified, highly paid staff member to, care for them.
What's a lunch cost?
What does lunch cost us?
Us by the time you get labor and transportation into it. What's your break even, would you say?
That's what we're trying to throw the dart at the wall.
Okay.
And it's challenging with food costs and food prices anymore. I mean, really want to see Michael get in a tizzy. Just see him look at the nutrition fund and trying to predict food costs and not only food costs but food usage, because we get a reimbursable rate from the federal government in terms of what we get reimbursed for a free or reduced lunch costs, and then it's different than what we're charging for those fees, so that it's in there. I mean, we're trying to thread the needle on what those costs. It could go up. We could charge more. We make money. We get more money from the reimbursables. So free or reduced lunch is a better deal than paid lunch for us.
I see.
Covers more costs.
At the charge.
At that, what we're charging there.
40 cents, the reimbursement's more than what
Yes.
the standard pay is.
Yes.
Yep.
Are we similar to other districts in that aspect?
Yeah, I think so.
And it depends on what month in terms of what that reimbursement rate is. It went nuts during COVID with, well, no, it's free for all. No, now it's not. Yeah, now it is. And in terms of how they reimbursed and stuff, he's right about the tizzy thing. I mean, it is insanity how they do it. The state and federal reimbursement rates and things. It's been all over the map for the last 3 years. So.
Yeah, and it's highly regulated.
Yep.
I mean, it's just as highly regulated as anything else we do in the district.
I've always wondered where you came up with 55.
Oh, for the seniors and above?
If someone's 25 years old and they have one child, they have to pay $80. And if somebody's 55 years old, toward the tail end of their career, making way more money than that person that's 25 probably is.
We talked about this.
Why are we at 55?
You guys can change it to whatever you want.
It used to be, honest to God, it used to be like $10 for a lifetime.
I know.
Darn it. Now that I'm getting closer to that age, I would have liked that. No, I'm teasing.
I know, it is crazy. We agree because we changed it because it used to be a lifetime thing that you could
I think
buy
it was
once you get that
65
age.
though. I don't think it was ever 55, was it?
I don't
think
remember,
it was
but we
60.
changed it. We changed it to charge it every year because of that same reason. That we know that they're fixed incomes, but they also don't have the expenses of a family on, taking my kids to a track meet.
60 or 62 or 65. It shouldn't be 55.
Well, you can.
I take it up to 60.
Are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion that we
Is that the only thing you're
everything except
changing?
I want to amend that to 55.
I know I was
I'm not
thinking
60 yet. Is there any other amendments we would like to make?
Just 60.
It's
65 or 60? What did you
Well,
say?
whatever you say.
What did you say?
I said 60.
Yeah.
We can make that. You know my mentality, I explained it, so if someone else would like to get it to 65, doesn't matter to me. I can say 55.
It's your motion.
Leave it at 60.
Is it $5 individual? Right.
Yeah, it's a good deal. I mean, if you're going to go to one season, and that's it, like you're going to go to a football game to watch your kid play in the marching band, maybe you don't buy a pass. But if you go to anything else, it's a good deal.
Can you get that kind of entertainment for that kind of money?
Right? I mean, it's a good. I mean, Tuesday night in the middle of the winter, there's nothing else going on. You go watch a basketball game.
You
It's a
can
good
watch it
time.
on YouTube too.
That's true.
I'm teasing.
You can.
I would pay.
I do.
I mean, I would
sometimes.
pay.
Quality isn't as high.
Right.
I kind of wish the student passes were in charge like everybody else.
Yeah, it used to be, it was that, when it was like, we didn't get some.
Yeah.
Northeast Iowa Charitable
Grant.
That
Yeah.
was a frenzy of
paid for
babysitting
those.
all the kids. Have you ever gone to a football game? God bless administration.
It's still babysitting.
I know, but
It's
I mean, I
still-
felt like that's what it was at all events when we had the free passes, basketball, volleyball, at least football's because it's outside, but yeah. I know, it was nice.
Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry for my kid. I didn't have to watch them, I just watched them all night long watching them.
Well, there's a motion on the table.
So I need a second.
I'll second it.
Alright, so Bob Call made the motion, Aaron seconded to keep everything else except for the single pass, 60 here and above to 60.
It's like that.
Any discussion?
Do seniors need a special rate?
You mean 65 and, oh,
60 and
gotcha.
older.
Oh, not to really throw a whole loop in this, but there are schools that schools are going to single passes. No families, no seniors, one rate per human, no questions asked.
I like people in the stands.
I
I
don't-
want my kids to like stand.
Do you think Grandpa and Grandma would come, or would buy a season pass if it was $20 more?
Oh, I thought you meant a senior in high school.
No. I meant senior
I
citizens.
was like,
Give them a
okay,
perk?
like, because
No,
they're
no,
graduating?
you're talking 65 and older, right? Yeah.
I was talking with
Sure.
They're gonna come either way.
What's that?
They're gonna come either way.
Yeah, so I'd say why give them a special rate?
They like it. So you get more, because
We all like
maybe
it.
they won't come to as many games, maybe they'll watch on YouTube
You
then. And they
think?
won't come at all.
I don't know, you start looking at the games, though, a lot of them are the older people, so they're coming.
Jamie, you have any idea on number of participation of our senior passes versus our adult passes? No.
Cheryl would have. I can get it for you.
Oh, it's all right. I'm sitting up, you would have it handy. When you reviewed it all.
Yeah, she had a lockdown on her computer and could break into it.
It's okay.
I bet they don't even know about it.
I did have somebody talk to me last year about it.
Yeah.
About what? It was too
I
expensive?
sent you an email, do you remember that? What was that about? There was like, they have an activity pass, but their grandkids aren't here anymore. Maybe that was something separate. That was something separate.
It was, they
That
have
was
like an
about-
activity pass for like a different school
Yeah,
district.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was,
Oh, and they wanted to use it.
I like something.
So, was that just discussion or what are we?
That was
We're
just
on
discussion.
Okay.
You have to amend the motion if you want to change it at this point. There's a motion on the table in
So-
a second.
So somebody's gotta tell me what they want different.
Call the vote or you can amend the motion.
Are you proposing we take out that last line?
That'd be my suggestion, but you already got the motion second, they're supposed to vote on it first.
No, Bob can amend his motion.
I'm okay with leaving it. But I guess $20. It's like gonna make somebody not come.
There's much action in our motion.
I know, this is the most discussion we've had in a long time. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm kind of confused right now, sorry. Not used to this.
And how many of the older people you think walk and pay at the door? versus how many people buy
Yeah.
activity tickets.
My mom.
I think majority of them probably just
Pay at the door. I feel like they pay at the door.
So they're gonna gain that much.
Yeah. Unless, maybe families will buy their parents a pass for Christmas. I don't know.
I did when it was $10.
You did when it was
I
10.
should do that.
See, that's a good idea. There you go. There's like
Good
a
Christmas
good,
present.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents lived
We
9
should
hours
market
away.
that.
It was never a option, so.
You should versus that.
When the lifetime went away, but
Oh,
it was like
yes.
2 people.
Yeah, we did get some chirping when the lifetime went away.
Yeah,
But-
I'm sure, yeah.
But we had to. It was ridiculous. The costs and what it was ridiculous. I mean, we were losing money.
They were buying enough popcorn at the concession stand, didn't offset it.
Right.
Yeah.
Jamie, you're gonna hear the brunt of any kind of.
Actually, Derek.
I was gonna say.
True.
So-
But you're in the chair now, and he's not here. Would
Yeah, he can
would
say.
you predict? I mean, would there be pushback, and you to hear complaints about people paying 80 versus 60 for a single adult or a 60 and above?
I think if we publish what the other schools in our conference are doing next to this, I don't think we'd hear nearly as much. People will complain no matter what. Ice cream is always too cold for some people. But we are still by far the cheapest in our conference. And I mean, it's part of inflation and the time we live in. We have to keep up, And if we want to keep giving our kids the best opportunities we can, this is one of the only revenue streams our activities fund gets. So we need to help it the best way we can. So I would defend it if the board voted on this today, and I will make sure that Derek understands that rationale as well, and I know that he would also be in support of this. So.
In support of raising it to 80.
Mm-hmm.
It's $20.
They always use the excuse they're on fixed income, but who isn't on a fixed income? You know?
You and I, we're not on a fifth income.
I feel like it's bad optics to raise it to the same amount, in my humble opinion. I think it's bad optics, whether or not it's being utilized or not by the older population. I think it's just bad optics.
Like you say, give them a
Unless you're
perk, like this is a perk, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Keeping it this way is what you're saying? Okay.
I just think, unless you're gonna publish what everybody else is doing and then they're gonna do the comparison thing, but otherwise, I think it's just bad optics in my opinion.
What year do they get the discounts, like shopping?
Get your AARP card at 55.
No, it's 50.
Oh, it's 50 now?
Yes. Yes, just wait, Aaron, your time's coming. Yeah, wait till that happens. So.
What do you think?
I like keeping it at 60.
We upped the age. Maybe next year we up the age.
Well, I'd like to amend my motion to make that 65. 65 years, and leave it at $60.
Who was the second on the motion?
Aaron.
Will you second the amendment?
Yes. I do have
Okay.
a question, but we can do it afterwards.
It's just a compromise.
There we go.
All right, so.
And that's retirement
Are
age,
there
so.
still people that have that lifetime pass?
Are we?
Are they still able to utilize that, or I'm pretty sure my parents have lost it, or my in-laws have lost it.
I couldn't.
I'm just-
I don't know that PMB's ever presented
I
one
just-
that we have
I
to
just got
honor.
asked that question, so that's why I'm asking.
There are lifetime passes out there.
And they're still being honored.
If they have a lifetime pass, whoever,
Yes.
yeah.
They are honored, okay.
We see
Yeah.
maybe 1 or 2 a game from
Yeah.
when I worked at the gate.
There are NICL lifetime passes in our
true.
conference that get you into any NICL game regardless of site.
We aren't grandfathered.
Well, where are those
No, we're
tickets
not.
been?
What's that? Well, we're new into the conference.
Oh,
I know that because my parents both have them from when they were coaches.
Gotcha.
Interestingly, though, they're not in the district. The district that they're in no longer is a member of the conference. But they can come watch my kids play with that pass.
Well, hey.
Say that again?
That is kind of cool. I mean, that is a good.
They have a lifetime pass to the NICL, granted by their home district that they worked for 35 years.
Oh.
And there's a master list that's out there of who all has these. There's like 10 or 15 per district. So although that district left the conference, their passes remain and they're still on the list. And they can come to Oline and watch their grandkids play and use that NICL pass to get in for free.
Well, we used to have passes for,
conference games
yeah,
away.
we would have like our
Yeah.
pass for home games, and we'd have a pass for conference games. I think we had.
Yeah, we used to get a handful of those as a conference and we would divvy them out.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
All right, okay, so any more discussion? We're increasing it to 65 for $60. Any more discussion? Everybody good? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. That's fine. I kind of like it, I'm not gonna lie. Opposed, the same. Okay. All right, motion passes. D is approve out-of-state travel requests.
Typically, we do these as one-offs, but we had two of them, so we dropped them both into one motion. Girls basketball team has done this for a few years now. They go to Winona, Minnesota, for a basketball camp, and then Husky Adventures, our new chess club, is requesting to go to a tournament in Moline on May 6th, and I recommend approval for both.
I recommend the approval for
Jody made the motion, Bob Buska seconded to approve the request as presented. Discussion.
The chess club is super excited, just saying.
Good.
They've gained members, I think.
Awesome.
It's growing.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Michael.
Okay, we'll get into open enrollment for benefits here. Work on getting the staffing shored up for the next school year here, the next few weeks. Lori Mollers certified our budget and amendment last Wednesday, so that's county official. And I'll be going down to ISBMA and Ames in early May for a couple of days for some work on my SBO license. So that's about it.
All right, any questions? All right, Ms. Grant.
As you saw by the principal's report, there was a very, very busy month. So I tried to capture some photos here. So Joe Beckman came and spoke at the middle school, and then to all the other kids. I was right at the last board meeting, but I showed this picture. Ironically, he stole my daughter's phone and didn't know it was my daughter and took a selfie with it. That's how I ended up with this picture. It's a good picture of him. It's kind of like how he it's his vibe. Admin team went to our administrative group is SAI, School Administrators of Iowa. We went to a regional meeting in Elkader. It was a good day for us to get away, talk about hot political topics, things that are affecting our business and our craft with like-minded individuals in Elkader. So it was a good day to just get away and do that. Really refocused us and re-energized us, I think. Mr. Hadley's a good driver. So
Snowed that day too.
Yeah. The first time ever, I attended the vendor show for our AEA food purchasing co-op. So I sampled 50 plus items of school nutrition food that could have been added to school lunch programs. So it's not like the regular stuff, it's stuff they're trying to get added to school lunch menus. A lot of buffalo sauce, a lot of buffalo chicken sauce, buffalo chicken pizza, buffalo chicken this, buffalo chicken that. I'm a big fan, so I was really hungry and eager going in. I left like regretting every decision I'd made. Very full. But it was a fun experience. I went with Haley. You get to vote on the different foods that you like. And so it's like, I don't know, it's this, I don't know, it's kind of a cool deal. It was a fun experience. Involved with a group trying to, starting a pantry food garden. So these were planted by some master gardeners in our community, one of whom you all know really well, or one of you knows well. Mary Kolb is helping out. Did you know she's helping out?
Yes, I did.
There wasn't much pretty stoic face.
Because I told her, I said, don't be planting any old seed.
Okay.
Plant new seed before you plant.
So I've been helping take care of those over in the greenhouse this month. Spent some time in the buildings. This is a picture of Wings Park kids waiting for the school day. Got to go to a concert and be a dad and also a superintendent. Watching getting to see the band and the vocal concerts in the middle school auditorium is awesome. By the way, if you just having concerts there instead of all those kids always having to come to the Williams Center. That facility is beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but it's just cool having stuff there in their own building. I think they really appreciate that. And then getting to announce some changes in our administrative team was kind of cool this month. That's it. So it's just in reflection, it was a very, very busy month, and I happen to have some pictures of all that stuff. So share them with you. That's it.
All right. Any questions? All right. Discussion. Erica. Joe. Aaron. Joan. Gosh, I was so quiet. Okay. We'll move on to upcoming events.
Teacher of the Year, Business Sector 5 will be at Wings Park April 26th. We have 3 Employees of the Year and 3 Teachers of the Year. Announced the finalists to staff last Friday, and we'll announce the winners this Friday, and then they'll be awarded at that public Business Sector 5 on that Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And then commencement ceremony. I don't have to know today, but we'll start getting communication. Let us know if you plan on A, attending the commencement ceremony, and B, you wish to stand or be on stage, and then who's going to be if you're going to be handing out diplomas, you'll have to probably fight Candace on that.
Just on a few. Just a few.
So if you have anybody you want to hand out to, let us know. We always make that accommodation.
No, I have a handful.
Do it like we've done it in the past, since there aren't that many, just.
Yeah, no, you guys have really done a good job of handling it on your own, so we don't.
Well, that was COVID when we all, because there was only 3 of us. But then last year we did separate some.
We did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shook hands, I think, but because you handed out and I handed out a few. We still separated.
Yeah, it's good to try to manage it just so we have an idea. We can adjust on the fly too, but if we can have a plan, I think everybody feels more comfortable.
At least know who's all going to be there is nice.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we have to have them chair. We have to have the right chairs.
Yeah, because we have to have the right chairs. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, more is better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to know if there's more than 3 so we can post it as a public meeting, and we have to know who's going to sit on stage. So those are the 2 important things.
Do we have a board meeting before then?
We do.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the 17th.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it is.
It's that week. It's that Monday before. So we'll have time, but
Yeah.
just so you're thinking about it and have it on your calendar.
All right, I just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Joni made the motion, Erica second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes 9:13-ish. Okay. All right.
Good catch on target.
That was a good catch.
Yeah, I like, yeah. See, different eyes.
100%.